In video games, when the sun goes down, an innocent open world game can become scarier than a survival horror game. Or maybe it just is a survival horror game at night. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, 10 games with the scariest night times. Starting off with number 10, it's Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon. An extremely ambitious indie answer to Skyrim, does a lot to make its open world feel dangerous. There's tons of mechanical reasons why Tainted Grail is more hardcore than the Bethesda game it's emulating. A big one being that night is extremely dangerous in this game. It's not the darkest night seen in an open world game, but it makes up for it by being very dangerous. The island of Avalon, which Tainted Grail is set in, is full of this mysterious force called the Weirdness, with a Y, which somehow inexplicably actually makes it not seem like I'm saying the weirdness, but I am. Most of the time that doesn't work, just to be clear. But that is the primordial energy of creation in this game. During the day, it's safe to move around and explore the world, but at night, the weirdness comes out. Strange monsters roam the land, aggressive spirits attack you relentlessly, and if you fall asleep in some unprotected place, expect to be ambushed. Night in Tainted Grail has its rewards. You can get more weirdness cobwebs, that's extremely useful. It's also a whole thing, I'm not going to explain it, but you are far more likely to get attacked and overwhelmed at night. It's a risk-reward system that gets riskier as the game goes along. At first, the beasts that spawn at night aren't too overwhelming, but as you progress through the game, these things get more and more dangerous until the point where it's really dangerous to go out at night unless you're very prepared for it. At number 9 is Grounded. Like the previous entry, this game doesn't get that dark, but it's not the darkness that'll get you in Grounded, it's the roaming wolf spiders who only come out and roam at night. For a kid's game, Grounded can be kinda terrifying, especially when you start engaging with the more aggressive insects and arachnids living in the backyard. A wolf spider is bad enough to run into in real life. Do you really want to deal with one that's multiple times bigger than you and only comes out at night? I'm not so sure. What's even worse is that they actually specifically hunt you down when they see your torches, so having some kind of light source just makes you a juicier target for these things. Their presence is what makes night so scary to be in when you're playing Grounded, but night still manages to be pretty unpleasant anyways, just because of how strange and kind of alien this miniaturized world is. And that effect is, of course, only compounded at night. It's better to just sleep when given the option, because wandering around at night is stressful. You never know when a 50-foot spider is gonna sneak up and turn you into a snack.
It goes without saying, but that is a big spider.
At number 8 is Subnautica, a game that manages to combine two primal fears, thalassophobia, the fear of the open ocean, with one of the most common fears of them all, nyctophobia, the fear of the dark. Throw in a fear of drowning, a fear of getting eaten by giant sea creatures, you got one of the scariest non-horror games of all time. Subnautica is not presented as a horror game. It is rarely trying to be scary, but manages to be quite terrifying because of the whole underwater thing. During the day, the game's already stress-inducing. You're always worrying about your oxygen level and dealing with getting confused and turning around in the open ocean, and it's about 100 times worse at night. The world is already disorienting, so making it pitch black doesn't help. What's strange about Subnautica is that the night is only really a major concern at first, when you're starting out in the shadows. By the end of the game, all your time will be spent in the dark, whether it's day or night, simply from being so far underwater that no light can reach you. That first time you really get to going really deep underwater, it's so scary even when there's nothing dangerous to kill you. It's so stress-induced just because of how suffocatingly dark it is. And when they do start throwing killer sea life at you that far underwater, the kid gloves are off. The game just wants you to be miserable. And number 7 is Dredge. You'd think a cute little fishing game wouldn't be all that scary, and during the day it's not. If you plan carefully and you only go out to fish during the day, there's very little to worry about, but if you're caught out at night in Dredge, things get weird. Being out on the water at night generates panic, which gets worse and worse the longer you spend in the dark. The early stages of panic are pretty harmless, just random visions sometimes, but as it builds up from hanging out in the darkness too long or getting attacked by the beasts that come out in the darkness, panic can be debilitating and overwhelming, with dangerous monsters attacking constantly and non-stop confusing visions meant to trick you into damaging your ship or losing track of what you're doing or going or blah blah blah. Being out at night is bad enough in Dredge because you can hardly see anything. Smashing your boat into some rocks or getting lost is trivially easy to do, and that's enough to dissuade you from going out at night. There are some rare benefits, though. Certain places in the world change when panic is high, and if you go fishing at night, you're more likely to catch some strange mutated fish that can be worth a lot more if you know where to sell them. Dredge, for the most part, keeps the real horror elements pretty low-key, but the atmosphere and strange vagueness of the sea and the danger that's implied by staying out too late is what makes Dredge so scary. And number 6 is Dying Light. You got to put Dying Light on here. It's the definitive night is scary game. It's the reason why the game is called Dying Light. Get it? The light dies out and things get scarier. You might die if the light is out. When the light dies out, you might die. Yeah. I guarantee whatever marketing person got a hold of that was just like, yeah, this is gonna be good. Yeah, the parkour and combat, it's super fun in this game, but the night is really what makes it pop and so memorable. It's a real shame they neutered the night so much in the sequel, because in the first game, it's absolutely amazing. It's pitch black, the zombies get more aggressive, and it's at night when the extra dangerous volatiles start roaming around the streets. These things are nearly unkillable beasts that hunt you at night, forcing you to sneak around in almost total darkness when they're around, because if they catch you, it's almost instant death, especially early on. Getting away from the volatiles means either stalking around in some of the blackest darkness ever seen in an open world game or making a mad dash to whatever light source you can find. Either way, intense as hell. And number 5 is Sons of the Forest. The first Forest game is probably a little more terrifying at first because in that game you don't really know what you're getting into, but the more reactive and aggressive cannibals and creatures in the sequel, along with the more realistic visuals, make Sons of the Forest, let's say, I think more terrifying. At first you mostly get left alone, but slowly and surely things start wandering around the little shelter you build for yourself at night. Cannibals stand at the perimeter of your base and just stare at you, and weirder creatures wander by one at a time. These things just scoping you out. That's eerie, but the real fear is when they stop playing nice and decide to ruin everything you've built in the middle of the night. These large-scale attacks can be vicious, and when it's dark, you can barely see 2 feet in front of you. So it makes the attack that much more terrifying. It's even worse when you're sleeping out in the unprotected woods, when all you have for illumination is your rapidly dwindling campfire. Night in Sons of the Forest is scary in a way the caves aren't. At least when you're underground with the mutants, you know there's only a few directions they can come from, but from out in the open, they can attack from anywhere, and a lot of the time, that is exactly what they do. At number 4 is the Silent Hill 2 remake. This is a game that doesn't have any dedicated day and night cycle, but there's a clear difference between the town during the day and during the night. During the day, you're free to explore. There's enemies around, but there's not a lot of them. These are the chill parts of the game, for lack of a better word. Not danger-free, but for the most part, if it's daytime, you're relatively safe. When it's night, things are a lot less pleasant. Enemy density goes way up, the music and sound design becomes significantly more oppressive, environmental navigation becomes intentionally awkward and confusing. The game just flat out is scarier at night. And the darkness can be pretty oppressive at times. Like, the entire prison sequence is one of the scariest segments in the entire franchise. The first time you walk into the cell block, you can see a creature disappear into the darkness, and it's scary. The entire segment doesn't let up either. It's pretty overwhelming. The way the remake associates the other world with night is a smart change that doesn't feel out of place for the original. In fact, a lot of people probably don't even notice it, but it adds to the experience. There's a clear divide between the less challenging, more character-driven day segments and the horror night parts that works really well, even if all the actual nighttime stuff is entirely scripted. And number 3 is The Long Dark. If there's one word to describe The Long Dark, it's atmospheric. The game has amazing atmosphere, just as much as it has excellent survival mechanics. This game does not need madness or monsters lurking in the darkness to make night scary. Sure, wolves might attack you or you might get lost, but the biggest danger here is the weather, or more specifically, the temperature. You're trapped on a northern Canadian island where all the power has mysteriously gone out, meaning there's no electric heaters, which is kind of a problem when you're in a place where the weather can drop as low as minus 60 degrees at night. The cold, obviously, brutal at night. No matter how many layers of clothing you have on, it's not enough to protect you from frostbite and hypothermia and weather like that. So if you're out too late, you die. When the weather's clear, nights in the long dark can be beautiful, but when it's cloudy, it's harder to see. It's also almost impossible to tell where you're going when it's pitch black in the long dark. Freezing to death, still a major problem, along with the wolves. Going out at night, very bad idea in this game. With the right view, it's very atmospheric and pretty, but if you want to remain living in the game, it's probably best to go to bed and stay indoors when it's dark out. And number 2 is Darkwood. Night doesn't get a lot scarier than this. Darkwood is the ultimate day-night horror cycle game. During the day, you scrounge around the mysterious forest, avoiding aggressive monsters and dealing with the weirdos and freaks that are occupying the forest in which the game is set. When night comes, the only way to survive is to hunker down at home. Get caught out in the open for too long at night, and the only outcome is death. Each night in Darkwood is the world's most terrifying defense mission, where you have to hunker down, border up the walls and doors, and find the safest spot in the house to wait out the things that know you're there outside of your view distance but can't see. Sometimes nothing happens, sometimes you hear a lot of noises, and sometimes something comes into your house, looks around, and leaves. Other times, night creatures come in looking for blood, and it's scary as hell. It's the waiting that makes Night in Darkwood so scary. You can always tell there's something out there, but you never know what it is, and there's a lot of different creatures that attack at night, with different behaviors to worry about, etc., etc. It's a game with minimalist visuals, but maximum terror. Scary enough during the day, but at night, it can take some serious willpower to even keep playing. I know once in a while I got so spooked I just had to turn the game off and take a break. And number 1, it's DayZ. Sure, night can be scary in single-player games, but in DayZ, it's worse. All you have to do is throw in a bunch of other players looking to kill you, on top of extremely dangerous and aggressive wandering zombies, and you got a game that's got maybe the most terrifying night ever. Also, when it gets dark in DayZ, it gets dark. Overwhelmingly dark, maybe too dark compared to real life. If you want to see at all, you need a light. But that light also makes you an easy target for other players and zombies. So unless you got a big posse, exploring at night is probably something you want to do in total darkness. Otherwise, you're going to get sniped out of nowhere. And I don't know about you, but for me, that's kind of the ultimate jump scare. You're playing this thing for 40 minutes straight. There's no other human beings anywhere. And suddenly, a light comes on and you're dead. DayZ is already an extremely tense multiplayer experience at night. That tension is just next level, unless you're lucky enough to get some night vision glasses, which are very rare, high-level items, getting caught outside at night in DayZ is up there with the most terrifying things you can do in a video game. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.